good morning. I'm Jack Cagle, and I serve you as the Commissioner of Harris County Precinct 4. And today I want to thank you for joining us as we honor our fallen Texas law enforcement officers who have given their lives in the line of duty in this last year, 2019. Our COVID-19 crisis would not, cannot, and shall not deter us from honoring these fallen officers who have given everything to us. So we made the decision to pre-record your scheduled speakers, and we ask that you listen and tribute them with us this time. You know, this week is the National Police Week, May 10th through May 16th, and it is our time as a nation to honor local, state, and federal law enforcement officers due to their tireless and sacrificial dedication. It is our time to remember those who have been killed in the line of duty. And many family members, law enforcement officers, community leaders are not able to go to Washington, D.C. during this National Police Week. And so 6 years ago, our very own Judge Ted Poe, who served us as a congressman at the time, decided that we needed locally to host a memorial ceremony. And along with the city of Humble, and Mary Aaron will be here later on, this program began. And I am so privileged to be able to help carry forward that proud and wonderful tradition. Today we'll have the speakers of Mayor Merle Aaron with the city of Humble, where in their facilities in our years past, we've been able to conduct this honored ceremony. We'll have Police Chief Delbert Dawes of the Humble Police Department. We'll have Chief Solomon Cook from Humble ISD Police Department. Representing Houston Police Department, we will have both Commander Megan Howard and Chief Art Acevedo. On the Harris County side, we'll have Sheriff Ed Gonzalez of the Harris County Sheriff's Office, and we will have our own local Harris County Constable Precinct 4 Constable Mark Herman. We'll also have our Regional Director, Jason Taylor of Texas Department of Public Safety. On the elected official side, we will have our very own U.S. Congressman Dan Crenshaw, U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, and former Congressman, but to us always, once a judge, always a judge, our very own Judge Ted Poe.
Good morning. Thank you for being here with us this morning. Thank you for remembering our fallen Texas law enforcement officers. You know, in my office the last couple of weeks, I've had the opportunity and the privilege and the honor of listening to 4 of our new police officers take the oath of office. Some of the words in that oath of office was support, defend, protect, and preserve. And I was thinking as I watched these 4 young men with the excitement in their face and all that they had going for them in their future, I said, this is the front line. This is what we have to protect us. This is where our hope is as far as our protection and our defense. You know, and as I was thinking about that, I was walked into my office and I sat down and it was 2 o'clock and there was a shift change from our police. And our police were coming in their cars, some from the left, some from the right, some from the north, and from the south. What was amazing was that this was their shift, end of shift. But as I sat there and I was thinking about that and contemplating end of shift, well, the new shift started, a new shift that the officers left, and some left in their cars to the left, to the right, to the north, and to the south. And again, I thought, you know, this is our front line. This is where our protection comes from. And then I had that sad thought in my mind about the police officers that we're talking about today. Every time police officers go to work, they pin on their badge, and there's a chance they won't come home. Dozens of officers are killed across the U.S. last year. Actually, there were 128 officers that were killed from every family type, from every classification of people, men and women, and they were there because they were defending this U.S. soil. They were defending their soil, their cities, our homes, our businesses, and actually our way of life. You know, and it happens too often that these officers pay the ultimate price for what they do, for their profession. As I thought about those 4 officers that with all the excitement in their life and the eyes that were just so bright and ready to go out and to serve, I was thinking that in Texas, 18 officers lost their life last year. It saddens my heart. It makes me sad. I think of their families, and I think that 18 is too many. Even one officer would have been many more than we should have lost. It's actually, it's just not acceptable. You know, each officer that passed away, each officer that died, left behind many loved ones. They left behind families. They left behind wives and husbands and children. They left behind brothers and sisters and mothers. They also left behind friends that will still remember them forever. They left behind friends that they've hunted with, friends that they've gone to church with, and friends that they've gone on camping trip with. And also they've lost co-workers. The co-workers remember them the most, the ones that they worked with day by day. They rode in cars with. They went into different situations that were beyond what they had even expected. And these individuals will always be remembered by family, by friends, and by those that they worked with. You know, I was thinking back about that end shift that I seen coming in from our police officers as they drove in, and it's the end of the shift. And I was thinking, these officers that are fallen at the last end of the shift, I'm sure they'll hear these words, "Well done, thy good and faithful servants. You fought the good fight. You finished the race. Welcome home." And I know our Heavenly Father will address them and tell them, "Great job, guys." You know, as we think about the families and we pray for them, we want them to never be forgotten, because the families have suffered the worst. And we know that as these officers are remembered even today, the words that we'll say just will not be sufficient to take care of the hurt that's in the life of these families. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Solomon Cook, and it is my great honor to serve as the Humble ISD Police Chief. Today, I'm here to pay honor to the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice for their community. I would also like to thank the families of these brave peace officers for the sacrifice and the support they have given them. Currently, we're dealing with one of the most horrific events in our life, which affects the whole world. I would also like to thank the peace officers for every day putting our safety first, the community safety, to go forward to assist people. I would also like to thank Commissioner Jack Cagle for supporting the annual police memorial, and thank our community for supporting us. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Delbert Dawes. I am the Chief of Police for the City of Humble. And I'm standing here before you today in honor, and this is a privilege of mine I take very seriously, and one of the most important things I can do a year. I can only hope to craft words elegant enough to inspire the hearts of families and loved ones who have lost sons, daughters, husbands, wives, and others in the line of duty. This memorial we speak of today addresses those officers who were called away suddenly and tragically. A window into the world of the deceased. Throughout the year, I have the privilege and opportunity to visit with several parents who have lost a child or someone who was a police officer in their family. Occasionally, I'll visit with a widow, a mother, and children of those who have lost their mates. The number one question they always seem to ask, what am I going to do? And again, we'll address that question a little bit later on. Most police officers are strong, responsible, independent leaders, people of good moral character, and looked upon to make decisions of integrity. So when these people are called away suddenly, the weight of the whole world is on that family's shoulders. To qualify my subject matter, it's necessary that you know that we as police officers understand to a large degree exactly what some of these people are going through. A thought I have today is I want to talk about spirit and character of a police officer. I believe I speak for so many other police officers when I say I became a policeman when I was 5 years old. And I was taken a couple of years of that, but it was in that early in life that we recognized the presence of an evil empire. We saw a need to suppress, destroy, or conquer these. We have a spirit that was created in us at an early age, fostered by parents, teachers, clergy, heroes, judges, doctors, all those that we looked up to. We had our Lone Rangers, we had our John Waynes, and people of this integrity that showed us and gave us a desire to be the good person, to be that people needed to be able to have a life that was worth living. Sometimes I wanted to be like my father. Sometimes I wanted to be like, my grandfather. And in the Reader's Digest, if you remember, two things I used to always read was life's most memorable characters. And I think about these, and I read about their lives and souls of the people that have passed on. I told you that I would come back to a question that, what am I going to do? The one question I hear them all ask and say. And I tell them, I said, every day you're going to climb that mountain. One step, one handhold at a time. When asked, how long will it take to get to the top? The answer is the rest of your life. Just like the loved one you lost, when you reach the top, there is a promised land. And you'll be able to look over into that promised land and you'll see that loved one. This is short today, but to the purpose. I want you to know that when you're climbing that mountain, we're there with you. When you see that police officer out there on the streets, I want you to think that there's my husband, there's my loved one. That character has never died. That spirit that's in us, it will always remain alive. As long as we have a nation that's free, it'll be where we can live comfortably. It'll be because there's someone that's willing to make that sacrifice. I wish that never again we'd never have to lose another police officer, because when we do, we lose a part of each and every one of us that are police officers. If I could leave you with just one thought, it would be this. If the mountain was smooth, you couldn't climb it. Thank you.
First, thank you to Commissioner Cagle and Harris County for the privilege of speaking on behalf of the Houston Police Department as part of today's Police Memorial Ceremony. Thank you for making sure we continue the tradition of honoring our fallen brethren in this unique time in history. We participate in these ceremonies not only to honor our fallen brothers and sisters, but also to demonstrate solidarity with their surviving families, friends, and coworkers. That word, to survive, carries a meaning that goes beyond simply moving forward. The foundation, what is at the root of survival, is to live. Surviving is about carrying the legacies and the very souls of our loved ones with us. In doing so, we keep these brave men and women alive. What is incredibly striking about the fallen from 2019 is their character and the true leadership that each possessed. Leadership is almost a buzzword today, but Sandeep Dhaliwal, Christopher Brewster, and Kayla Sullivan, they were leaders in the truest sense. Yes, they motivated those who were near and dear to them. What is more remarkable is the impact they made on people who did not necessarily know them so well. We know this to be true not because of the words of praise that came after their deaths, We know this because of how they lived and how everyone around them knew it to be true in the moment, during their lives, while doing even seemingly ordinary things. My stars, to see a nation mourn for Sandeep was an incredible thing, and it was a tribute to the true reach of leadership. Now, more than ever, we have to step up and find new ways to celebrate these incredible lives. I remember a time when the year 2000 conjured futuristic images, the cold of deep space, communication without boundaries, and dreams of faraway places. Now, in 2020, as we live through a generational and historic pandemic, we crave nothing more than to be physically together and to close the distance so that we are not so far away. So let us return to that word, survive. In remembering our loved ones, let us accept and take ownership of the duty that comes with surviving. Let's start with this unique ceremony that shows to the world that we will stop at nothing to honor them and their sacrifice. We put our vulnerability and hurt on display, and in doing so, we show the strength of love. I think all of those emotions went hand in hand with the leadership that we lost in 2019. Let us survive through love. Thank you.
Hi, this is Ardas Surveillance with a heavy heart that we taped this because last year in the Houston Police Department on December 7th, we lost a great man in Sergeant Brewster. And although every year we honor our fallen in person and hold a tribute that is worthy of our heroes, because of COVID, we cannot do it this year. So I just want to say on behalf of all the men and women of the Houston Police Department and our extended community, we miss you, we love you, we love your family, and to the families of all of our fallen brothers and sisters here in Harris County, in Texas, and across the nation, thank you for being the best generation of police officers in the history of policing, and thank you for your commitment and your sacrifice. We will continue to watch over your family, and all of you, you will never die because you will remain in our hearts, in our minds, and we will honor you through our actions. God bless everyone.
Hi, I'm Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, and on behalf of the Harris County Sheriff's Office, we would like to offer our deepest sympathies and respects to all those fallen heroes that we've lost in 2019, to the families, their friends, and survivors. We want to thank them for making that ultimate sacrifice. We believe that it's important to remember not how they died, but how they lived. Their commitment to safety and justice in taking care of all our county and our Texas communities. The job of a lawman and lawwomen is a difficult one. There's tremendous pressures that come with the job, as well as sometimes the misunderstanding of the role that we play. It's important for us to pay the ultimate respect to those that have laid their life on the line and have made that ultimate sacrifice. We've lost too many along the way, and we must honor always every year with the pledge that we will never forget. It's got to be more than just words, but we got to do it through our actions as well, that the families and survivors know that their loss was not in vain, and that we will carry on their legacy far beyond their short lives. We at the Harris County Sheriff's Office have seen firsthand the devastation that comes with losing one of our own. Last year, we lost Deputy Sandeep Dhaliwal as he was out protecting the community as he did every day. He was the epitome of community policing, and to this date, the community and his family misses him dearly, and so do we. Years before, we also lost Deputy Goforth, so we know that this sacrifice is real and it happens far too often. We ask that you continue to keep the families and survivors in your thoughts and prayers, and to every law enforcement family that is continuing to serve now and that has paid the ultimate sacrifice in the past. In conclusion, on behalf of the Harris County Sheriff's Office, we also want to thank Commissioner Cagle for his leadership and strong support of law enforcement officers. Thank you very much.
My name is Mark Herman. I'm the elected constable of Harris County Precinct 4 the largest constable agency here in the United States. For the next few minutes or two, I want to talk to you about one of my childhood heroes, John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. We are here today because in 1962, President Kennedy signed Proclamation 3537. This proclamation designated May the 15th as Peace Officer Memorial Day and the week in which the date falls as Police Week. President Kennedy was an honorable man, an aristocrat, millionaire, war hero, and great president. Despite his stature and accomplishments, he never forgot the regular man. He never forgot, and he truly appreciated the contributions and sacrifices of our American beat cops. The President's proclamation read in part, "From the beginning of this nation, law enforcement officers have played an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of our citizens. Through constant application of our procedures and techniques, such officers are becoming more efficient in their enforcement of our laws. It is important that our people know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police departments, the necessity for cooperating with them, and maintaining law and order. And it is fitting and proper that we express our gratitude and dedicated service for those courageous deeds of our men and women in law enforcement." 3 decades later, and by way of this proclamation, a memorial in Washington, D.C. was dedicated to honor our nation's fallen police officers. Through our grief, we can see that it is a beautiful memorial, a lasting reminder of those of us who gave it all. I looked in awe at the 20,000 plus names of police officers engraved on this wall. But what disturbed me the most was the available empty space for the next 20,000 names. Plenty of room for active police officers, those of us that are still in school, those not born yet. It's inevitable. We live in a violent world. The memorial was designated for 50,000 names. It's estimated that today's rookie police officer may see the memorial filled to capacity before the end of their 35-year career. In 2019, over 100 American peace officers died in the line of duty, 48 by gunfire. It is just the first 4 months of 2020, and 37 American law enforcement officers have died in the line of duty, 17 of these by gunfire, 7 here in the great state of Texas. There are over 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the United States. Many of those agencies will suffer the pain of watching a fellow officer's name etched in stone. Precinct 4 understands that pain. In the past 3 years, 2 of our deputies have been severely wounded in separate gunfights, and on February 19th of 2004, Precinct 4 Deputy Scott Claiborne was added to the memorial wall. He was killed by a drunk driver. My department is well trained and well equipped to address a variety of situations. With God's good grace, no one else's name from my agency will be etched to that wall. We have paid our dues. I could go on for hours, but I'm only limited to a few minutes to speak with you. To all the law enforcement people employed in law enforcement, I want to thank you for your service. To all of you who have lost a friend or coworker to violence, I am sincerely sorry. To all of you who have lost a loved one in the line of duty, bless you and may God comfort you. And lastly, I would like to say, please, God bless all of our peacemakers. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Jason Taylor. I'm the Regional Director for the Texas Department of Public Safety. On behalf of the thousands of members of the Texas DPS, thank you very much for inviting me. The Officer Down Memorial page shows 146 law enforcement officers lost their lives last year in the line of duty. Sadly, one of them was Texas DPS trooper Moises Sanchez, who was gunned down in McAllen on April 6, 2019. Though he fought mightily to recover, he died from complications of his wounds on August 24th here in Houston. From the time they were notified, Trooper Sanchez's wife, kids, and family stood bravely by his side while he received treatment in the Valley and when doctors transferred him to Houston for more advanced medical care. Many members of our DPS family and I saw firsthand the Sanchez family's resilience and strength and unwavering desire to triumph. Looking back at the incident now, they never had a moment to prepare for such a life-altering event. Yet very boldly, Trooper Sanchez's family faced each day with grace and poise that to me was unparalleled given the heartbreaking circumstances. I know this week is about those men and women who bravely gave their last full measure of devotion defending others, and in so doing, giving away every one of their tomorrows for our today. But I also think this day is about the families who will visit their loved one at a lonely grave. The trumpet's last note has long since faded, but the image of their family member still refreshingly crisp in their mind. And it's about the families who wonder each day if their law enforcement officer, husband, wife, mother, father, brother, or sister will once again walk through the front door after another long shift. And it's about the burdens our families must carry in all its inglorious forms. Law enforcement officers make an indelible impact on the lives of those they serve. Whether they rescue a child from human trafficking, thoroughly investigate a crash, track down a perpetrator of some assaultive act, or 1,000 other ways officers serve their communities. We don't get to choose when we come into this world or how we go out of it, but we do choose what we do with the days we have in between. For the law enforcement officers and the families who love them, they embrace service to others above themselves. While I was truly honored to speak at Trooper Sanchez's funeral in South Texas, this is an honor I never wish to repeat, and a duty which should never have to be repeated anywhere. But unfortunately, we know there will be many more, and we must continue to support all those who are left behind. In closing, to the families of officers who died in the line of duty, who endure the difficulties of life without their loved one, you are forever a member of our profession. To the families of every law enforcement officer currently serving, who carries with them the burden of worry at the closing of the front door, please know we are very grateful. And to those brave law enforcement officers who valiantly defend communities around Texas and this nation, always keep the passion for serving secured firmly in your heart. Thank you very much.
18 of your brothers and sisters in blue gave the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty in 2019. Last year, Texas led the nation in on-duty officer deaths. Those statistics are hard to hear because we know that they aren't just statistics. These are people who are your friends and family. They had full lives devoted to service above self, lives that were cut far too short. Today, we remember and honor their sacrifices. When I was in the SEAL teams, I too lost friends, good ones. Far too many than I'd like to think about. I carry their memories with me every single day, and I know the pain you feel when you remember those who never made it home. But you can overcome that pain by honoring the legacies of those you lost. So how do we do that? You do that in the way you serve others in uniform every single day. Every time you answer the call that no one else wants to answer, you are honoring their legacies. Every time you help a driver stranded on the highway, you are honoring their legacies. Every time you step in to stop domestic violence, you're honoring them. Every time you protect those who cannot protect themselves and serve members of your community when they need help, you are honoring their legacies. You honor their legacies every time you put on your uniform and go to work, not knowing if you will return home to see your families or friends again. You know, too often in our society these days, we don't honor the right heroes. Our society holds up as heroes the people who scream and shout their outrage the most, rather than holding up the heroes like yourselves who battle real injustice every single day and face real danger. But police officers are the heroes our society should be looking up to, especially now. You perform your duties day in and day out and do not expect gratitude in return. You serve selflessly even when no one is watching. And today, I want to express my sincere gratitude for your tireless work to serve and protect our community. And I join you in remembering and honoring your brothers and sisters in blue who you have lost. They are heroes whose memories will never fade. So thank you, and God bless you.
Though we're facing uncertain and unprecedented times, this National Police Week gives us the opportunity to honor the service of law enforcement officials here in Texas and all across the country. We also take a moment to pause and to honor especially those officers who have given their lives in the line of duty. They've made the ultimate sacrifice, and they leave a legacy of bravery and service. We pray that God's peace will surround their loved ones, their family, and their friends. Our police officers are on the front lines of this pandemic, and we're grateful for their unwavering commitment to keeping our families and our communities safe. May God continue to bless our law enforcement officials and our first responders, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
When I was growing up in Texas, occasionally we would go to the biggest town in our area, Temple, Texas. Once I was there with my dad watching a parade, and I noticed there was an individual standing on the side of the curb, not involved in the parade, just watching the parade. And of course, that was a Temple police officer. Back in those days, Temple police officers didn't wear uniforms. They just wore a cowboy hat and a white shirt and a star or badge over their heart. I was 5 or 6 years old, and I remember my father told me, because he watched me as I was watching the peace officer, he said, if you're ever in trouble, if you ever need help, go to the person who wears the badge, because they are a cut above the rest of us. Now, those words were very true years ago when I was a kid, and they're true today as well. Folks still, when they're in trouble, when they need help, they go to peace officers, those individuals who wear the badge, because they are the last strand of wire between the law and the lawless, and they protect us from those who wish to commit crimes against us. During my 30 years as a prosecutor and a criminal court judge here in Houston, I had the privilege of working alongside some of America's greatest heroes who wore the badge, the shield, the star over their heart. They represented everything that is good and everything that is right about our country. I appreciate Commissioner Cagle continuing to host this ceremony to honor our fallen Texas law enforcement officers. Protection comes at a price. With service comes risk and sacrifice. In the United States, there were 146 law enforcement officers killed in 2019. Public safety is a dangerous job and can come at a very steep price. Today, we honor our 2019 Texas officers who paid the ultimate sacrifice. 18 fallen police officers from the great state of Texas. Their lives were cut short by criminals. Texas had the highest number of fatalities in the nation again this year. During my time in Congress, I spoke on the House floor probably more than any other member of Congress. And one of the things I did and had the honor of doing was when a police officer died in the line of duty, I would talk about that officer on the House floor. This morning, I want to mention 2 of those 18 officers in our area from last year. Sergeant Christopher Brewster was shot and killed while responding to a domestic assault at about 6 p.m. on Saturday, December 7th, 2019. A woman had called 911, and she reported that she had been assaulted by her boyfriend and that he was armed with 2 pistols. When officers arrived at the scene, the abuser had already left. Sergeant Brewster was checking the area when he saw the criminal fleeing down the street. As he exited his patrol car, the criminal shot Brewster. Despite being shot in the chest above his vest, he was able to give the dispatchers and other officers a description of the assailant and his wounds. And he also mentioned and told the subject's direction of travel. Sergeant Brewster was transported to Memorial Hermann Hospital, where he died from his wounds. The outlaw was arrested by other officers following a foot pursuit, and he was later charged with capital murder. May justice be swift, and if convicted, the criminal should meet the hangman. Sergeant Brewster had served with the Houston Police Department for 9 years. He's survived by his wife, his parents, and 3 sisters. Houston's most beloved and respected sheriff's deputy, Sandeep Dhaliwal, was shot and killed while conducting a traffic stop in the middle of the afternoon on September 27, 2019. As Deputy Dhaliwal was returning to his patrol car, one of the passengers exited the vehicle and ran toward him and opened fire. Deputy Dhaliwal was struck multiple times. He was flown to a local hospital where he died from his wounds several hours later. The criminal who shot him fled to a nearby business where he was arrested by a responding deputy. The killer had been wanted since 2017 for breaking parole. Deputy Dhaliwal had served with the Harris County Sheriff's Office for 10 years. He was the first member of the Sikh community to become a Harris County Deputy Sheriff. These officers go where others fear to tread. They charge into danger and terror to protect and serve the rest of us, to protect the homeland from evil. Today we honor our peace officers like Dhaliwal and Brewster. They are a cut above the rest of us. I call them the police. I've used that phrase to recognize a group of my friends in the Texas law enforcement community. They represent everything that is good and right about our country. When I was little, my grandmother used to tell me stories. She made them simple so I could understand them. And she once said that there are 2 types of people that live among us. And she talked about the oyster and the eagle, 2 of God's creations. You see, when God made the oyster, He gave the oyster absolute, total economic security. The oyster lives on the bottom of the ocean, and for food, it doesn't have to hunt for food. It opens its shell, and food rushes in for it. The oyster has protection from anything with his shell. But the oyster doesn't do anything for anybody. He's content with living in the bottom of the mud, surrounded by thousands and thousands of other oysters. God made a lot of those oysters. But when God made the eagle, He made everything difficult for the eagle. The eagle has to build its nest in the highest of trees and the tallest of mountains. It must search for food through snow and sleet and storms. Nothing is easy for the eagle. He must build his nest in the highest of trees and the tallest of mountains. He must search for food through blizzards and sleet and snow. But when threatened, the eagle is a vicious foe for all of his enemies. He knows no defeat or retreat. He never gives in, and he never gives up. God made only a few eagles. And today, we honor those eagles in law enforcement that are a cut above the rest of us, who protect and serve our Texas. And that's just the way it is.
Deputy U.S. Marshal Norman D. Merkel, United States Department of Justice, U.S. Marshal Service. End of watch, January the 16th, 2019. Deputy Ray E. Horn III, Comal County Sheriff's Office. End of watch, January 17th, 2019. Community Supervisions Officer Russell D. Salazar, Kendall County Community Supervisions and Corrections. End of watch, January 31st, 2019. Border Patrol Agent Donna Doss, United States Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Border Patrol. End of watch, February the 2nd, 2019. Officer Nathan H. Heidelberg, Midland Police Department. End of watch, March 5th, 2019. Deputy Peter J. Herrera, El Paso County Sheriff's Office. End of watch, March 24th, 2019. Officer Albert A.J. Castaneda, Jr., Grand Prairie Police Department. End of watch, June 7th, 2019. Sergeant David J. Fitzpatrick, the Colony Police Department. End of watch, June 10th, 2019. Corporal Jose Luis Speedy Espequeda, Mission Police Department. End of watch, June 20th, 2019. Deputy Carlos A. Ramirez, Kendall County Sheriff's Office. End of watch, July the 2nd, 2019. Trooper Moises Sanchez, Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas Highway Patrol. End of watch, August 24th, 2019. Harris County Deputy Sandeep Singh Dhaliwal, Harris County Sheriff's Office. End of watch, September 27th, 2019. Deputy Matthew Ryan Jones, Falls County Sheriff's Office. End of watch, October 11th, 2019. Sergeant Christopher Charles L. Brewster, Houston Police Department. End of watch, December 7th, 2019. Sergeant Kyla M. Sullivan, Nassau Bay Police Department. End of watch, December 10th, 2019. Detective Clifton J. Martinez, San Antonio Independent School District Police Department. End of watch, December 21st, 2019. Deputy Brian C. Pfluger, San Jacinto County Sheriff's Office. End of watch, December 21st, 2019. Deputy William Chris Dickerson, Panola County Sheriff's Office. End of watch, December 31st, 2019. K-9 Chucky, Bexar County Sheriff's Office. End of watch, January 25th, 2019. That concludes the 2019 Fallen Officers Roll Call.